Greetings and welcome back to Moto Matters. Today we're doing a little something different. Swing arm bearing replacement. So we're going to drive out some old bearings that are a little under-maintained, a little rusty, need replaced, and put in the new ones. So let's get started. Alright, first we'll pull the spacer out. Save this because we're going to reuse this. Push the pin out of our junk bearing. And pop the seal. There we go. Get that out of the way and off the side. Now before we get too excited about getting rid of bearings, pull this. It's got a thrush washer and another bearing. Something crazy Honda was doing. Completely unnecessary, but that's where they're at. I'm gonna pull those out, get down to the actual bearing here. There. Get those washers out there. Put them off the side. And you can see why this guy needs replaced with how rusty it is. One thing you want to note, now this one's pretty easy to figure out, but is the depth of the bearing. On the older bikes, they don't have that nice clean lip that you can see there, but the lip you can see to go flush with. So you would want to measure the depth. I just used a screwdriver with my finger right there. Tells you the depth, or you use a tool, some way to measure and know where to put it in. If you're doing maybe the knuckle bearings, you drive those out and you make sure they're perfectly centered if you have to measure that. So let's get some more crud cleaned out, then we'll drive a bearing out. Okay, to make this a little easier, I'm going to use one of our friends, some penetrating oil. Get some of this up in here. There we go. Let that soak. Get everything nice. Loosen up so when you drive this out, it goes out a lot easier. So while that's working, I'm going to wash these thrush washers up, see if we can reuse them. Okay, they make nice bearing drivers. That's a tube with different size you put on for the different size bearings you need to push out. They're nice if you have them, but the problem I found with them is they never have the right size. So most guys ruin their sockets, which is what I'm going to do. It's not recommended if you care about your tools. But you find the socket that fits the bearing, you want to adjust inside, so that way it'll drive it all the way through. We are down here on the ground, sitting on carpet, on the concrete, so we have a solid surface to pound against with the carpet, so we don't damage the swing arm. And you take it, and hopefully I don't hit my hand, and wail away.
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm just too weak or if the bearing's too stuck. We're going with a plan B here, which is, they sell a fancy tool that'll pull the bearing through for you. We just got, again, sockets, if you don't care about running your sockets, and a piece of ball thread. We'll see if we can't press her out like this. I think it's thought to break loose and start moving. So you can see a bearing press is nothing fancy or special. They'll sell them to you. I don't know how much they cost for this. A couple washers with our socket that goes inside. Piece on a piece of ball thread. Here's the bearing we just pressed out. And a big fat washer on a piece of ball thread. Now it works as you just crank this through so it pulls that stuff. Go down inside so you can push the bearing out through that way. Pretty cheap, Very simple and yet very effective. So I'm not sure if we're going to use that to press them back in or if we'll hammer them. In the past, I've always hammered them. You get a little more feel that way to make sure things are going straight and right. You can see it better. So we're probably going to try it that way. We're going to put a light layer of grease inside here, just so everything slides together a little nicer and easier. I'm just going to put some grease in the bearing right now, just to keep everything in place, keep everything happy. We froze the bearing because I was getting a little warm and needed to cool off. No, not really. We froze the bearing so that way it contracts.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
And if you want, you can heat up the exterior metal to expand, to make things slide together easier. So I'm gonna, with my crippled hand, try and line it up as perfectly as I can. And then tap right and get her started. All right, we're a little crooked as we're in it. You have to have her on that side to get her straightened out. We're gonna go back down to the floor to make this easier. Very pleased with that. There we are. All right, folks, we are rocking right along. Got a lot of new parts and a lot of new grease. Those other washers were trashed. So, new thrust washers to go. Their new thrust bearing and a lot of new grease. You can coat this thing nice and thick. Get it all in those needles, roll them around. Plenty in there. Take some, slap it in here. I like things way greasier than they need to be. It'll lose out, it'll make a mess for a while. But as long as it lasts, that's what we're looking for. There's that one. Yeah. I'll slap a layer of grease right there. And then this one, oh yeah, way too much. Just how I want it. Throw that guy right there. Now, bring this down to our outer seal. Right here. And I'm going to fill that inner groove with grease. Rub some grease on the outside so it presses in easier. There, push her in. And these should go in by hand. If not, just tap it gently with a mallet. Nothing hard, don't want to damage it. Got that guy in. Well, back to our exterior washer here. Push that guy in. All right. Now, gotten kind of carried away. That's okay. That side's done. Flip her over. Now, I'm gonna fill that bearing with grease. Get a bunch up in there.
I know how you kids like them sloppy.
So that way you won't have to do this again anytime soon. And turn the needles while you're in there. The same with the inner seal. There's lots of grease on that inside. A little layer on the outside so it goes down smooth. And press her in. There we go. Take our brand new pin, grease them up real nice. Slide them in. That's that. We're done. Well, not really. We still have to do the other side. That shows you everything you need to do. Kind of a poor man's bearing replacement. As you notice, I just used regular tools that everyone has and can get. So anyone can do it on their own in a very cheap fashion. Don't be afraid to try and replace those bearings on your own if need be. And keep them greased so you don't have to do this again. Thanks for watching.